Best deal is to mix and match a flat of 18 for just $19.99. How about a super buy on Penta? They're gorgeous, and you get 2 of these beauties for just $5. Crepe myrtles? Well, just see for yourself. The place is Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens, Southeast 38th Street, Ocala, daily till 4:30, and will deliver right to your car in the same blooming place since 1952.
12 Rounds Boxing. Now on the Ocala Square. Open 10 a to 10 p. 7 days a week. That's 12 Rounds Boxing.
WOCA. Ocala.
Listening to AIM Ocala Live, WOCA, The Source, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM. You know what that sound means. It's time for Caroline Baldwin in the studio.
Back. I'm back.
You know what's crazy? I gotta point this out real quick for the listeners out there.
Yeah.
We've missed you for the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
Had some stuff that come up you had to do. No problem.
Yep.
We sent the message and I said, no problem. I'll run a replay.
Right.
And I gotta tell you, it always goes as shown that when we run the replay, we get more calls when you're not here than we have the show live.
And I put out that I was not in. and I still had somebody come by and go, I was listening. It's like, I tried to call.
I tried to call in.
I wasn't there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I tried to call in, but that guy who hosts the show won't pick up the phone.
Answer the phone. It's like, okay. I'm sorry, people.
And what's great, though, is that lets me know that even me just putting that up there, running it through the YouTube and playing our old episode, that it actually fits the bill pretty good. And that
Right. Finding those ones. And even if it was just, I'm glad to be back. I am. It was 2 different things, actually.
Yeah.
Some, folks who know me close, know, and I don't think I put out on the one. I think I put out that my AC went. Mm-hmm. I had gotten home from work on Monday. And actually, my roommate got home from work, and he calls and he goes, "Hey, there's no AC." I said, "When I get home, I'll call." So I get home and I call and I call one AC place, get their voicemail because it's after 6 o'clock, and so it's like I wait a couple of hours and I don't hear back, so I call somebody else that I knew of too. And it's like I call them. I still didn't hear anything back, but 8 a.m. on Tuesday morning, I got a phone call, and it's like, okay, first come, first serve. Guess what? Come on out.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for the AC guy.
And it was way more something than just like, because a lot of times when people say, oh, yeah, my AC went out, the first thing a lot of people think is that overflow pipe that it just shut itself off because you got to get some of the algae or whatever's within that.
Mine was a fan motor. Fan motor.
That's
So I didn't have AC till Wednesday, and then unfortunately, and I'll put it out there. I know we got a lot of listeners who do. They either pay attention on the Facebook page or they call, or I do know them personally. I went in the hospital Thursday morning.
Yeah.
I ended up, you never know. I mean, I knew I had a hernia. Yeah. I mean, it had been diagnosed a couple years ago. But, oh, boy, I had 4 of them, and they fixed them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So don't pay attention to those pains in the belly.
That's and girl, I know you work hard, and I know with how busy it's been this spring and stuff like that, and you're just getting it done, putting in the time, putting in the work,
not
doing
even
what you do,
and have no idea why that one just went. Guess what? You're gonna So and kudos, fantastic. Had some of that what they call elective surgery going on there that they kind of wanted to do within 30 minutes of me showing up at the hospital, but ended up being 8 hours later because I had to have a cup of tea in the morning.
I know what you mean.
Had to have my morning tea. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I had to have that morning tea. And they go, "Why'd you do that?" I said, because I had to. But no, I'm on the mend. All is good. Thank you for all the wonderful wishes from family and friends, listeners out there. And yes, hey, it is one of those things. Is it live or is it Memorex?
We do have a caller right away.
Great,
I think we know what it is. Good morning, WOCA. You're in the garden with Caroline Baldwin.
Good morning, guys.
Morning,
Hugh.
I missed your program last week.
Me too. What can we do for you today?
I had the same experience with air conditioning here a couple of years back, and why does the dang thing have to go out like in June, July, August? Why can't it go out like in maybe May or October when it's not quite as hot? But it's quite an experience, and I often wondered, like I've mentioned to my wife a couple of times, if there wasn't air conditioning, I wonder how many people would actually be living down here in Florida.
Yeah, I don't think we would be quite as busy. I was lucky, though, because actually that Tuesday, Wednesday weren't quite as hot.
Right, the mornings were so
yeah,
nice.
So
Most of the week was real good.
And I was off, so I was able to open the house and run all the fans. It wasn't that I had to close everything up and go to work and come home to 90-degree house. I could keep it a little cooler. So, ceiling fans, box fans, pedestal fans, they're your friend, and screens on your windows.
Yeah. And then not only that, in the evening it got cool enough that the temperature dropped again, because we were below the 70s for most of the morning last week, 67, 68.
I'm glad it wasn't this week, as we're hitting those upper 90s.
Heat index tomorrow of 101.
Yeah. So how's your lawn doing?
What is really terrible is like about, I don't know how many years back it's been now, was it 2004 or 5 when we had all hurricane, we lost power for a week. We didn't have a generator, and you got nothing. You got no fans. All you do is keep running over to the grocery store and buying ice, and sucking on the ice water all day.
That was it, and hoping for a little shade, and
just happen to making yourself okay that you can sweat. Making yourself feel comfortable, like I'm comfortable with sweating.
Yeah,
just
okay.
everybody else is.
We'll all get through it.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. The question I got, now getting back to gardening and stuff, although this is not gardening, but down the block, they built a new home on an acre lot, and they laid sod, an acre full of sod.
Okay.
And of course,
that's gotta be expensive.
Ever since they laid the sod, that was last week, we haven't had any rain on this side of town, and it's kind of hard to water an acre full of sod. What is the situation with sod now? I know it needs water, and it'll probably get water, but how long does it take before it roots and then you can finally cut it?
Normally, we recommend watering for about 30 days. That way it's knitted down to the ground, that you've gotten that good watering, and that's a daily watering for 30 days. And with it as hot as it is, if it's in a full sun location, you may actually be having to be watering it twice a day. And if you can tell when it's taken hold is when it actually does begin to grow, or you can go out there and pull on it. Go try to lift it up. Yeah, see if it's tug it, if you have to tug, don't rip it out of the ground, but if you pull on it a little bit and it's got some resistance, that it's really getting knitted down there to the ground, and that you can begin to back down on the water, and then mow it. Usually you're talking at least I'm going to say probably at this time of year, 2 to 3 weeks before you would mow that first mow. And then we don't put anything chemical-wise down till we've actually needed to mow it like 2 to 3 times.
I was going to say, that's important because, that could really screw things up.
Those little brand new little roots that are getting knitted in there, even though you might feel the need to put a fungicide or a pesticide down, extreme caution on some of those.
Sure.
I walk by the property with my dog every once in a while, early in the morning before it gets too hot. And when you look at it from the side, from the distance, it looks kind of bumpy. Would it be advisable to somehow get that rolled down with a roller or something?
Yeah, get through there and stomp on those. It's probably where a couple edges of that sod meet up, and they didn't stomp those down good. Or a lot of times they will roll the lawn after they put it down. They'll roll that ground. They'll make sure that that's nice and smooth. Was it Bahia that they put down probably? Because if there's not an irrigation system, it's got to be Bahia, or you've just thrown away thousands. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have an EPA system, and I believe it is Bahia or
Yeah,
Bahia.
right.
And, the thing is, too, there isn't a darn tree in the lot. It's all open up.
Right. So that's, so that's hard. I mean, unless they're getting out there with a garden hose and a sprinkler kind of thing that, because now Bahia is a tough grass. It is a pasture grass. It is one of those ones that during times of drought will brown out, but boom, as soon as we get a rain, it's green again. It's the first thing green.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully we've had enough, rain before that the ground had a little bit of moisture, that the sod was good quality, and maybe they'll get some. I'm sure they were hoping for rain. I thought I saw something this morning. They were talking maybe some chance of rain this afternoon. That we've got it coming in.
They're actually talking about even maybe a little bit sooner for some of the moisture that's there. It's more of a 50% chance that we could see right around noontime.
Right.
So that's today,
before
though.
Before the guy laid the sod down, we were getting rain every day. I mean, like it was a monsoon around here. The guy
Then they laid it, no rain.
Sod, and we haven't had rain since a week and a half.
And that's tough. I mean, it is one of those hit or miss, especially when you're doing a Bahia. But like I said, one good thing about Bahia is it'll recover up.
tough.
It might look, it's if it had a good soil base to that sod. Was it rolled sod? Was it a big roll that you noticed?
No.
It was
There
pieces?
there was a dozen guys throwing these little squares,
Oh, okay. Oh,
for an acre,
wow.
that's probably like
That's a lot.
big truckloads.
Yeah, because I was thinking a roll would be, personally, my thought would be something that would have a larger root system within it that would withstand this stress that it's now been put under.
It almost make you think that it would be rolled too, because if you're covering such a larger area, it'd be easier
Just
to
a lot
roll
faster
out.
to roll that, and less expensive.
Because what's a normal size of a
16
piece?
by 24, yeah, every 2.5 square feet for, And that's just
I
not
drove by when they were laying the sod in the car one day with the air conditioning on, and these poor guys. I mean, that's got to be one. If that and putting a roof on in this kind of heat, throwing sod that down, and they had a whole acre, and there was these skids all over the place of this grass that they're going to have to eventually get to.
Right, because if you're looking at an acre, you're talking better than 40,000 square feet, and most pallets of sod, I believe, are 400. So you're going 10, you got 400 square feet, so 100 pallets to go 40,000 square feet, 100 pallets?
Yeah.
That's a lot of of grass.
That's a long day.
A lot of money. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's a long.
Anyways, he's in my prayers. I'm praying for rain, not only for all of us, but especially for that guy, because I know he's going to need rain. And let's just hope that the weather pattern kind of gets back to where it should be normal this time of year.
That's it. Let's hope so.
We had.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for calling you. Yep.
Now they were saying that a lot of the expectation for the week is going to change depending upon the rain chance based on what we have coming from the west.
Right.
Because from the east we've got a lot of that. I'm sure you've seen it. All of the Sahara sand that's been kind of blown up in the atmosphere.
Yeah, that's why you're getting these great sunsets.
That's exactly
the gorgeous
right.
sunset photos.
And then on top of that too, that is the cap to keep away some of the tropical storms that they're saying they don't have
help bring the moisture to us
tropical development. However, they did say that with particles in the air like that, if there is moisture in the air, it will trap a little bit more, which then condenses even quicker, and then when it gets even more heavy, then that brings the rain.
Right.
So it was kind of like, it's going to keep some of the rain chances for a system that would bring us some rain at bay, but there's still a chance that we could have some of those strong pop-up thunderstorms.
Said something about, so watch out, it could be some severe weather, possibly.
Which last week we really did. I mean, there was some parts of Ocala, some hail. Yeah. It was Thursday that just far east in Marion County near the forest, it got real severe. I'm looking at the radar. It had magenta. It was purple. It was about to go white. It was so that tells you the tops are creeping up near 42, 45,000, and it was dropping hail. Well, the next day was Friday, and it built up. I was just coming from getting a haircut, and the rain was sideways, and then it just got to a point where it was severe, and it was hail, and it was about the size of what I consider to be like remember the little candy, the Sicklets candy?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So they
not
were about
quite the size of a pea.
Yeah, they were about that size, and then they got a little bit bigger. They were almost at one point almost a dime size.
And I had some friends that said that yes, they had the quarter size hail, not all of it, and because it was like you could see the rain and there was some hail, and of course when it hit the roof and broke up, what you might see coming off the roof was smaller.
And there was a moment there. I was like, the visibility got so bad at one point because of all that it was like, I'm not going to drive. I'll just stay here in the parking lot. And I was in the parking lot where the movie theater is there over near Easy Street. And I was on the phone too, and it was loud, and I'm thinking, man, these are getting bigger. So I went right underneath a tree to just kind of deflect some of that hail. I'm like, no,
little bit. Don't take my windshield out.
I've got an opportunity here. I can get out of it. But nonetheless, too, like you mentioned, it's going to be interesting to see how the week plays out with the rain chances.
And it's June. It's our rainy season should be beginning. Normally, it starts at end of that second week of June is usually when the rainy season comes. But this year, I mean, I swear we cannot get this thing rebooted.
I know.
2020 is just not rebooting. We have a virus. We have all kinds of stuff going wrong with this system.
Yeah.
And we just need to unplug it maybe for a little bit and see if it doesn't. Buy a new battery. I don't know. I don't know. A whole new operating system going in. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. And we're like I mentioned, this is the last full week of June. We've had a big month here with the full weeks starting on a Monday, as far as work weeks go. But that leads us into July, so we're more than halfway through the year now. So we'll see where it goes.
We'll see how it's going. And one thing I did this morning, I took some pictures, put them in the garden page. Don't forget to use that as a resource. We did have one listener who did. Earlier this week had sent a picture of, I don't know if that was a store-bought watermelon or when they grew themselves. And this is one of those things, if you look at the picture of it, it's the watermelon, if you've ever had a watermelon that has swirls near the outer part of it, that watermelon it's past its prime. Maybe not a whole lot. If they start to sink, obviously, yes, then they're past their prime. Probably it's still good, but it's not going to keep long.
Right.
So if you cut that open and you see that go, let's gobble this one up or make it into some watermelon popsicles or watermelon smoothie kind of things, use that watermelon up quick. Because I know when we're looking, watermelon's in season. It's a great thing. 4th of July is coming up. We had Memorial Day. Memorial Day's been a month ago.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
But, you're looking for that nice creamy bottom on that watermelon. You want some weight to it. I'm never good on that thump thing. I always have to go to that what the bottom of it looks like. And when you get it home, get it chilled so that be prepared to eat it. Don't let it sit there for an extended time. And I've also heard that watermelons, so if you're buying a watermelon from the roadside stand, you might want to find out how long he's had them. Because watermelons, after harvesting, they do begin to lose their quality. They need to be kept cool and out of the sunshine.
Yeah.
So, the more shaded, so if you've seen that guy with his roadside stand kind of thing, make sure he's got his bed of his truck or trailer, tarped. Hopefully he's parked in a shaded area. That's going to help keep those watermelons from crossing that line too quickly. Because you can't beat a good one. I love watermelon. It's the health nutrition out of a watermelon. I don't know a kid who doesn't like it, which at this time with how hot it is, some nice cool chunks of watermelon, and your other melons are great too, but that watermelon, the amount of water in there and hydration that you can get from that is just fantastic. Come in, have a glass of water, a little piece of watermelon, and you're good to go. You are refreshed.
Yeah.
And so
when you mentioned that with the watermelon, maybe having a swirl, I pictured it in my head, and it made me think. It made me draw up. Just the other day, I was looking at. It was a pretty interesting agricultural post that basically brought up, and I'm sure you know quite a bit about it, but I thought it was worth talking about. It's kind of where we've come in modern fruit. Like, for example, like the banana hasn't always looked like the banana that we have
like
today.
A banana, right.
Even watermelon, to the idea of what it looked like to what it is now, down to carrots, down to corn even.
Yep.
And I wanted to ask you a little bit more about that. So, for example, like I'm showing you, like right here's a picture of more of what a banana used to look like. Back in the day, we're talking, 15th, 16th century.
Right.
Here they mentioned the watermelon, obviously with a lot of the seeds and more of the core, the 1600s and what it looks like today.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, even just when I was a kid, say in the late 60s, early 70s, seedless watermelon.
Yeah.
Who'd want a seedless watermelon? I mean, there was no. They were odd. They were expensive when they first came out. Seedless. Now it's hard to find a seeded watermelon. And I mean, what do kids do? Have kids today ever stood in the backyard, spitting watermelon seeds as far as they could into the backyard? Do they know that the fun of that, of being handed a chunk of watermelon full of seeds? And I mean, you got to eat it off the rind, too.
Yeah.
You bite it and have it drip down your chin. I mean, I think kids today think a watermelon comes out of a bowl at Publix. Yeah. But I will say the orange ones.
Yeah.
I can't eat them.
What is it? Yeah, orange
the yellow fleshed watermelons. It's psychological.
Do they taste any different? I haven't had one.
I can't say yes or no. I think I've only ever had one, and I had to eat it with my eyes closed.
Really?
Because if I looked at it, it didn't taste right.
Because all you saw was squash.
Yes, or cantaloupe or something. It's like drinking water out of your coffee cup.
Right.
I mean, you take that first. You put water in it. You ran the faucet.
Yeah, the water's cold. It's just as refreshing.
And it tastes like your cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Initially, your brain is
Or you're thinking the placebo that you're smelling
it's
something
supposed
that would
to be hot.
Even though the cup could be as clean as a whistle, no residue of coffee whatsoever. You think you're smelling or going to taste that. Yeah. That's interesting.
It's psychological, but I even do. I eat red tomatoes. I don't think I've ever had an orange tomato or a yellow tomato.
Yeah, I've had orange tomato.
I may have, but I don't. Yeah,
they're the same because I pictured the tomato.
Yeah, I mean, they say the yellow ones are not quite as acidic.
Yeah. That's what they say.
Yeah, and I might.
But they're not very sweet. It's not like because they're less acidic, they're more sweet or anything.
Right.
Not at all.
Not at all.
It's maybe just like you're just eating
psychological,
and you're eating a vegetable flesh at that point because it's not as sweet.
Right.
And then because of the color, you're thinking like, oh, it's not as acidic, and that's true. You don't taste it as like it's like that.
That combination of the sugars of the tomato fruit and the acidity as well.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things. I like that. It's all psychological.
It is. And now they've come back out with, because carrots never used to be orange.
Right.
Orange was what got marketed. That was the color that came out, I'm sure, over, God knows when the orange carrot came to be. But, I mean, it came out of that whole thing but you can still buy the rainbow carrots.
Yeah, you can.
The seed, you can get seed for it. I'm not sure how well they do here. Mm-hmm. But, up a little, maybe a little further north where we have a little cooler in their springtime and that, because we grow our carrots through the winter, so you have shorter days, kind of thing.
It's interesting. I want to talk a little bit more about that, especially, too, the idea of the seedless watermelon.
Yeah.
We think about, oranges, navel oranges, right? The ones that have seeds, but we'll talk more about that. Now, as we're coming to the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour, as promised, we're going to take our break here, but we are giving away $20 worth of plants from Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens. Bob Wine's proud sponsor of the segment. As we say, give a call to 732-8000, our back line. Gift certificate, $20 worth for Bob Wines. Back after this, WOCA, The Source.
News. I'm Lillian Wu. Protesters Protesters in the nation's capital inspired by their West Coast counterparts last night.
Trying to do what they did in Seattle, creating this Black House Autonomous Zone. BHAZ, which is what was spray painted on those church columns, St. John's, is being actually spray painted all over the place to include the Veteran Affairs building, which is just next door to St. John's. That church is the same church that arsonists set on fire last month.
Fox's Griff Jenkins. Demonstrators also trying to tear down a statue of Andrew Jackson, something President Trump has said should get jail time. And world number one men's tennis champ Novak Djokovic, the latest to test positive for coronavirus. This coming after an event he organized in Serbia and Croatia. 3 other players and some coaches have also tested positive. America's listening to Fox News.
From faulty breakers to broken windows to leaky pipes, roofs, and water heaters, homes and businesses around the country can't work until the pros do. That's why Lowe's created credit programs that work for pros. With everyday 5% savings on eligible purchases, plus through October 31st, 60 days promotional financing on your Lowe's business account or extended terms on eligible account receivables. Learn more in-store or online at lowesforpros.com. Putting money back in your pocket. Just one more reason Lowe's is the new home for pros. Subject to credit approval, U.S. only.
How much money would you like to save just by doing something you're already doing? How about 40%? With Allstate, safe drivers can save 40% just by doing something they're already doing. Driving safe. That's right, 40% just by driving safe. Visit Allstate.com or call a local agent for a quote today and see just how much you can save when you drive safe with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Savings vary and based on DriveWise and other safe driving discounts. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
WOCA.
We'll have a mix of clouds and sunshine today with a shower or thunderstorm this afternoon and a high of 90 to 93. Then partly cloudy tonight, low 70 to 74. Wednesday will be partly cloudy with a shower or thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon. High tomorrow 91 to 93. Then partly sunny Thursday with a strong thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon and a high of 91 to 96. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Holly Holder.
Help prevent the spread of germs. Wash your hands with soap and hot water for at least 20 seconds and always wash before you touch your face, eat, or drink. Use hand sanitizers. Limit sharing of eating utensils. Practice social distancing and avoid physical contact. Sneeze or cough into a tissue or the inside of your elbow. Avoid contact with ill individuals. An ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure. Download the free booklet at Scientology.org/stay well.
Can you believe this? You can buy popular crepe myrtles in white for as little as $6.99 at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens. Well, you can because I just said so. And listen, many colors in the number 4 size, regularly $29.99, are $24.99 this week. And this super big white watermelon red and lavender crepe myrtles, they're up to 10 feet tall. They're regularly $2.99, but you buy one, you get one free, delivered, planted, and guaranteed. No doubt, Bob Wine's is the place for crepe myrtles. Check this out, a gigantic selection of citrus trees, many bearing fruit right now, starting at $59.99, and you get a free bag of fertilizer with your purchase. And it's tree planting time. Buy one, get one at half price. It's this week at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens, Southeast 38th Street, Ocala, the same blooming place since 1952.
12 rounds boxing. Now on the Ocala Square. Open 10 A to 10 P. 7 days a week. That's 12 rounds boxing. Looking for fun and educational online activities for children? Then check out Teaching Tuesdays, the Appleton Museum of Art's free weekly art project video series. These educational videos feature art projects that can easily be done from home with basic art supplies and materials. A new video is posted each week at 10 a.m. on the Appleton's Facebook page, website, and YouTube channel. For more information, visit appletonmuseum.org.
As the state of Florida continues to reopen, the Get, Gather, Go initiative moves forward. We encourage you to get informed on how it's safe to go out, gather together with family and friends, and go spend locally by supporting local restaurants and shops, all while still observing personal protection guidelines. Let's support our amazing city. Post a picture while you're out and use the hashtag #WeLoveOcala. For more information, visit WeLoveOcala.com.
WOCA.
Ocala.
You're listening to AM Ocala Live, WOC at the Source, in the Garden with Carol Ann Baldwin, as we're back. As we were talking a little bit before the break there, I mentioned vegetables and how certain ones, and I know it's one of those things where it plays on the like, for example, the red tomatoes, the green carrots, the
yellow watermelon,
this popping. But my one question was, and I wanted you to maybe tell some of the listeners who have a question of, okay, seedless watermelon. So if it doesn't have seeds, how do we grow it?
Their seeds are in there. If you notice, they're pale, they're white. Yeah. Means they're immature. That the fruit is actually ripening before the seeds do.
Now, as the watermelon continues to ripe and then starts to fall its way apart, do those seeds become more and more mature?
Those seeds usually become more and more mature. And usually, the best of my knowledge on it is that they have actually pollinator plants.
Okay.
So there's certain ones that are, they're going to be your seeded ones, that they're ones in order to have, because you've got your male and female flowers. Well, if you're just putting fruit out, you're missing one of those. You're missing that male flower, and so you've got different things going on within the genetics, or that they're self-pollinating to where the seed just is not isn't there. Or isn't mature enough to.
Is that where we can come away? And we've talked about it on air before about what, talking to a master gardener about what the definition of organic is, right? So here's my other thing. Where's the definition then for genetically modified, for GMOs? Because nowadays it's starting to get this hindrance of like, no GMOs, no GMOs.
I know, everything is,
But at the end of the day, it's like, what's the definition of that? Because then again, it's like you might be surprised about everything you're probably buying at the store. Has at some point been something?
It's not been manipulated that way. If it's done by breeding, meaning taking the good characteristics of this plant and continuing that plant, that this plant was hardier than this one, so we're not going to take the fruit from this one to stew seed from. We're going to take it from this one, because that is hybridizing.
Okay.
And hybridizing, some people who want organic don't even want the hybrids, but the hybrid is based upon, heirlooms are the one. Okay, let's start. Heirloom is something that is just that. It's an heirloom. It is that tomato, that pepper, that corn that has gone generation after generation after generation. Taking that seed, it will reproduce itself. It will be the same one that great-grandmother grew.
Sure.
Same kind of characteristics, same kind of resistance, this and that. It's just, it's nothing that you can say will always withstand a blight or something like that you may lose a whole crop one year, whatever. Then you got your hybrids, which has been that the farmer has taken his 100 squash plants and found out that 20 of them really didn't get that powdery mildew this year. So he's going to take the seed from that and grow them again.
Okay.
And he's going to continue with that one and not save the seed from the other. And that's how that goes. And so you just keep taking those higher quality items, whether it's been a disease resistance, the size of the fruit, the sweetness of the tomato, and carried that forward. GMO is when they go into a laboratory and they take this genetic piece of material and either turn it off so that it can withstand an herbicide type sprayment, or they're going to take the gene out of this family-related plant, because our tomatoes, our peppers, things like that are all in the nightshade family.
Right.
And so this pepper is resistant to this virus or this fungus, and we're going to put it into this one, or into this tomato, same family, and turn that into where that plant is now resistant to that virus or fungus or something like that. But when you look at, and I know it's non-GMO, and I'm looking at the ingredients going, yeah, you're right, because there's not one of the ingredients in here who's a GMO item.
Yeah.
There's only about, about 6 or 8 truly genetically modified plant edible type things, and they are those big crops.
Sure.
It's the corn, it is the soybean, there are wheats that are cotton. I don't know of anybody except for cottonseed oil, it's going to be clothing line. What are some of the? I'm trying to think of the other. There's not really a whole lot. When I grab a can of pineapple and it says no GMO, I go, no, because there's no genetically modified pineapple. There's no reason to.
Right. So, and I've always thought that mattered to talk about a little bit, because we know that, and this is important. Everything nowadays that we see when it's come to us in a pretty package has a lot of these terminologies to it, and it's always an assumption that's being made about what could be considered healthy. And obviously one that's been huge, and we talked about this before, is the idea and the definition of organic.
Because the organic, the GMO, and the gluten-free. I'm going, there's no gluten in green beans.
Right. There's no gluten in cauliflower, right? So if you turn that into your little cauliflower rice kind of thing, and it says gluten-free, it's like, no way. There's no wheat.
Right,
that's
in there. Right.
So this is all we know, like we said, kind of like the big push for the advertising to make it feel like you're eating something more healthy. But that's where the knowledgeability of knowing that this stuff doesn't even have to begin with. And the genetically modified always made me think a little bit more, because I really thought, I started thinking about like where we're at with certain fruits and vegetables now, and I'm like, well, what would be the definition, right? Where is that fine line? And that's a good point. I like how you spread that out a little bit. It's that idea that there's certain terms that are already, like you said, that have been there for years and decades and centuries, that have been how they grow the next generation.
The next generation of quality and of trying to do. And I mean, sometimes people say, well, they've bred the flavor out of commercial tomatoes. Maybe they have, but you can still go out and buy tomato seeds, or you can find an heirloom roadside stand. You can find that mom and pop organic farm and buy those tomatoes that you want. And I think that some of this may start to come back in, and let's just hope when it does that the price comes back down. Because it won't be necessary to advertise it as such, and make your price go higher just because you're paying more for an item that has a label that has said it has been tested and certified, and the rest of it. It's just, let's eat some food that's a little more local. And I think we're almost having to be, again, because of what's going on economically and socially right now, is that, guess what? They're not shipping that stuff from that farm across the country here.
Right. No.
It's got to come local. And that you'll go back to, I mean, hey, my age mates out there, you're anywhere between 50 and 60. You know that when you waited for grape season, and they were imported, the Chilean grapes, because we didn't get grapes from California.
Right.
They came from Chile.
Right.
You waited for the season. Peaches were in your community for a certain period of time, and that's when you got them, or you bought them frozen or canned. You didn't buy them when they were shipped from across the country, because it was not cost effective. And so I think a lot more, we may see some more of that local farmsteads or local produce markets or local restaurants taking in more of those local products and a little more on that line.
That's interesting, and I think, like I said, I think that deserved a little bit more of a discussion there,
right?
But just to figure that out overall.
Yeah.
But all right, we're gonna take a little break here as I'm getting the signal.
We're getting the signal.
Yeah, we'll be back after this. WOCA Ocala.
Folks, are you tired of the broken promises from the Washington politicians? They promised to build the wall. They haven't. They promised to repeal Obamacare. They didn't. It's time we hold the Washington politicians accountable.